Hey everybody, King Corfish here, and welcome to the first ever video from the King Corfish Spring Break Blowout 2014. In this video, we will be taking a look at my top 10 personal favorite Pokemon from the Kanto region, or the first generation. Number 10. Machamp. Now it's story time with King Corfish. When I was 7, I went up to my grandmother's house for Thanksgiving. My older cousin was going to be there. Not Spaceboy02, but he goes by the name of Spencer. And my brother, who goes by the username of Kid Aries, was going to come as well. My brother told me all about Spencer's Pokemon Ruby journey, and all these amazing Pokemon that he had. I was psyched to battle him. But when we all arrived, my cousin told me that he forgot to bring his Pokemon Ruby. Kid Aries brought his Emerald, and I brought my Sapphire. Spencer asked us to trade some of our Pokemon over to my brother's Emerald version so we could do a battle. I gave him my Machamp, and my brother gave him his Walrein. We battled, and Spencer managed to defeat me with my own Pokemon. We forgot to trade back our Pokemon, and the next morning, Spencer had restarted the entire save file on my brother's Emerald. That meant that my Machamp, his Walrein, and his entire journey was wiped clean. I really missed my Machamp. It was the best on my team. We wrecked through the Hoenn region and blew through Norman. I really missed Machamp, but I loved it a lot, which is why it deserves this number 10 spot. And just look at it, it has 4 arms! Number 9. Golem. When I was 10 years old, I got an Action Replay DS for Christmas, and I instantly restarted my Pokemon Platinum in order to get a super crazy uber mega cheated team. This team consists of Golem and 5 other amazing fighters. Golem and the rest of my team managed to get me kicked out of city tournaments, beat the game in about 2 to 3 hours, and pwned all of my friends who thought that Golem wasn't cheated. Golem's moveset was Earthquake, Superpower, Zen Headbutt, and Rock Tomb. I loved my Golem, and I'm sure that she loved me. This Platinum team, though cheated, is probably my best and favorite Pokemon team that I ever created. Golem is a super amazing rock type, and that's why she's deserving my number 9 slot. Number 8. Moltres. Have you ever looked at a Pokemon and just thought to yourself, "ZOMG, this is so awesome, it's Mega Uber gots to have it"? Well, that was exactly my 4-year-old thought process when I wanted this thing in Mount Ember. To this day, Moltres is the only legendary bird Pokemon I've caught or even owned, and I'm probably going to keep it that way. This bird may not have done much for my team, but it definitely wrecked all that was in its path, and that's why Moltres has earned its number 8 slot. Number 7. Ditto. Gonna be completely honest, I barely remember using Ditto as a kid, but from what I do remember, I had lots of fun with it. Because I was about 3 years old, I didn't know how to play Pokemon correctly, so I actually used Ditto on my team, as an actual Pokemon, not just a breed. I used to use my level 10 Ditto to challenge in the Pokemon Tower against level 40 Pokemon, just because I loved the way it would transform into whatever I was going against. My tiny brain was mesmerized by how much transforming this thing would do, and I loved it. Not to mention, Ditto's entire concept is just pretty cool. Number 6. Vaporeon. Before you ask, no, Vaporeon is not my favorite evolution. It's actually a tie between Vaporeon and Glaceon. However, Vaporeon is a Gen 1 Pokemon, whereas Glaceon is Gen 4. What I really loved about Vaporeon was that it was just so cool, so sleek. Like, it could swim and run on land. It's really hard to explain, but Vaporeon is just such an amazing design, and I just love it. When I was 4 years old, on my Fire Red, I managed to get myself a Water Stone, and I gave it to my Eevee for an evolution. I didn't know what it would do, but it was pretty cool. Vaporeon didn't fit into my team at all, however, I used it anyway. Until I boxed it for some reason. Honestly, I can't remember. I was 4, okay? Looking back at its moveset, I was really bad at battling as a kid, but apparently Vaporeon still won battles for me. I mean, seriously, this thing had 0 water-type moves. What was I thinking? Ah! Number 5. Snorlax. Snorlax, that fat little cute creature that blocks your path in Generation 1 as well as 6. I actually like Snorlax a lot, and I can't just look at it without smiling. I remember when I was 4 and I was swimming at a hotel. There were some kids playing Pokemon in the pool, and I went up and asked if I could play. They said sure, and I was a Snorlax. When I yelled, "Snorlax used Surf!" I got screamed at so loudly for cheating. When I showed them the summary of my own Snorlax, their jaw just dropped. My Snorlax beat so many Pokemon during my journey, and it's such a great Pokemon in general. For some reason, though, my Snorlax wore black glasses. Number 4! Gengar. Even though my username says otherwise, my favorite type is the Psychic type. My reasoning? This Pokemon right here. Gengar, though not Psychic type, managed to make the Psychic type my favorite, just by 2 simple moves. Hypnosis and Dream Eater. The combo is just so OP, and that's completely why I love Gengar to this day, as well as the Psychic type. If you were to ask me my favorite Pokemon move, I legit would not be able to answer you, just because I love Hypnosis and Dream Eater the same. Gengar is a part of my super crazy hacked Platinum team that I mentioned before, and this thing would literally solo battles. There's only one person who managed to defeat my Gengar and still can't get past the rest of my team today. Blockbreaker. Granted, the only way he got past my Gengar was through a really broken Mew. If you're curious to know my Gengar's moveset, here you go. Ironically, though I love Gengar so much, I never used its Mega in Pokemon X or Y. I never fit into my team, I guess. If for whatever reason I begin competitive battling, you know Mega Gengar would be an addition to my team. Number 3! Mr. Mime. Yeah, you heard it here right, guys. Mr. Mime. Usually this Pokemon ends up on people's least favorite Pokemon list, but for me, it's the opposite. I actually really enjoyed using Mimin in my Pokemon Fire Red journey at the age of 4. I remember sweeping through Pokemon trainers with that wonderful Magical Leaf move, which actually did more damage than you'd expect it to nowadays. But to be completely honest, I don't know whether or not I like Gengar or Mr. Mime better. However, I actually used Mr. Mime in my Fire Red, Kanto journey, whereas I used Gengar in my Platinum, Sinnoh journey. I just thought it'd be a little better to have a Kanto Pokemon higher on the list. Number 2, Nidoqueen. Before you come out and say it, yes, I like Nidoqueen better than Nidoking. Hard as it is for some people to understand it, I prefer this gal as opposed to this guy. Nidoran female was the very first Pokemon I caught in my Fire Red journey, and it stuck through the entire adventure. Nidoqueen as a Pokemon can learn a huge variety of moves, and mine was no exception. As a 4-year-old, I'm surprised I created such a nice beast and actually holds up to the standards I prefer for the Pokemon in my team today. Except for that darn cut! Number 1. Here it is, after the first 9 Pokemon will come my number 1 Kanto Pokemon. Who is it? Well, it's none other than...
Who's that Pokemon?
Nah, I'm just messing with you, but I might as well finish this clip.
It's Squirtle!
Squirtle.
That's right, Squirtle is my favorite Kanto Pokemon. You never forget your first starter on your journey. Granted, the very first Pokemon I've ever had was Trico. Squirtle is what I chose on my Fire Red. Me and Squirtle have such a history, and whenever I see a Squirtle, I just can't help it. It will remind me of my very own. Squirtle's all grown up now, and is a great big Blastoise. But nonetheless, it's still such a great feeling to know you can always trust one partner Pokemon when you're in a pinch. And that's why Squirtle has this number 1 spot. Thanks for watching my top 10 favorite Kanto Pokemon video. If you haven't already, you can click on this annotation to check out the playlist of the rest of the Casey Spring Break Blowout 2014 videos, as well as an annotation right here to check out a current Let's Play of mine that I am doing of Pokemon Stadium 2. I put a lot of hard work editing into this Let's Play. It's very entertaining, and it even teaches about the game a little bit as well. It's a great series, and I hope you all take a look at that. You can also click on this Pokeball to check out my top 10 favorite Johto Pokemon. You can click on this Great Ball to check out my top 10 favorite Hoenn Pokemon. You can click on this Ultra Ball to check out my top 10 favorite Sinnoh Pokemon. And you can click on this Master Ball to check out my top 10 favorite Unova Pokemon. There's also some other websites I have over here, and a subscribe button here. Once again, thanks for watching, and see you in more videos!